guys, so one thing I was thinking about, and something that might help you, I apologize about my phone, it seems like it's always going off. So one thing I do that'll really help whenever you're going to ponds, you don't know if there's fish there, or you don't know if the fish are biting that day, and they're real picky, maybe it's a hit or miss kind of pond. Well, one thing I do is I wear a shirt that has these pockets, or I make sure that I have nothing in my shorts or pants pockets if I don't have a shirt that has pockets. And what I do is I'll bring a few extra soft plastics that I think I'll need. I'll bring a lighter color, a dark color, maybe a couple of one of them if a lot of times I get hits on that color. It's a real good color, I know it's good, it's reliable. I'll bring a couple of that same color just in case if one gets torn up or something like that. And then I'll pick, what I think is going to work. If I've used something there before that's worked, like say it's a 60 shad crankbait, I'll put that on my crankbait rod. But if I know that a bluegill colored bait works best, then I'll put on something that resembles a bluegill, or a bluegill. Sorry, duck season's coming up. A bluegill. So yeah, I'll kind of put that on and kind of just use it and just go with it. I mean, a lot of times you could put on a very similar looking crankbait and all of a sudden you're going to start catching fish. I get that, and sometimes you need to change them, but like I use what I'm confident in, and what I know I caught fish on before. Those are going to be the baits that I throw first, especially if I'm just trying to scout ponds or find out if that pond's active that day. If I find out that fish are biting, maybe I'll go get my tackle box and post up and throw a lot of different lures. Maybe not a lot, but throw a few more that maybe I don't have quite so much confidence in, but I think it might work that day, judging on how the fish are reacting and what they're feeding on, what I'm taking from watching the bass and seeing what's going on in the pond. So I hope that helps you guys out. Oh yeah, and another thing, make sure you have something that goes deeper and something that goes shallower, especially if you have no idea how deep the pond is, because all the ponds where I live, most of them are very, very shallow. This one is weird. It's shallow around the banks, and then all of a sudden it gets 15 feet in the middle. There's probably 3 or 4 ponds like that around here, and I'm going to tell you right now, especially if you're fishing in the summer, you definitely want to be able to throw something deep. So at least have something, whether it's a deep diving crankbait or whether it's a heavier weight. So maybe you could, punch in mats or duckweed or lilies or something like that. But then you could also fish real deep very easily as well. So it's good to try to have multi-purpose baits. I really like flukes because they're really great for anywhere from 0 feet of water to 6 or 7 feet. I don't like to fish them too much deeper unless if the fish are feeding up at the surface. So I really try to use things that are multi-purpose, things that I can use almost anywhere around the pond. Usually a shallow running square bill crankbait. Then I'll throw a lighter jig, maybe 3/8 ounce or ½ ounce probably at the most. I'll maybe bring a heavy one if I know that there's a lot of dense cover. If looking at the pond I see lots of duckweed, lots of stuff, maybe some branches underwater. If I see those things, then I'll bring a heavier jig. But if you look and you don't see anything on the pond, bring a light jig. A heavy jig will just get caught up in all kinds of stuff on the bottom, like algae, leaves and things like that, and you just don't want that. You don't need it, especially if the pond's not very deep. So, yeah. Hopefully that stuff helps.